I request our President, Shri A.P. Ranganath, to kindly lead the dignitaries on the dais. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Advocates Association, Bangalore, I welcome you all to the felicitation function to Honorable Justice Mr. Abhay Srinivas Oak and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judges, Supreme Court of India. To begin with, I now request Srimati R.S. Jayashree to render the invocation song.
ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ ತ್ರಿತ್ವಮುಖವಾದ ಪರಬ್ರಹ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಭವದುತ್ತಾದಿ ಭವದ ಬಿತ್ತಾದೆ ಋತದ ಚಿತ್ತಾದೆನಿ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ಇಳೆಗೆ ತುಂಬಿತಾ ಬೆಳಗಿ ಜೀವ ಕೇಂದ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೂಡಿ ಬಾ ಒತ್ತೆ ನೀಯನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ತ ಪೃಥ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೂಡಿ ಒತ್ತಿ ನೀನೆನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ತ ಪೃಥ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಋತದ ಚಿತ್ತಾಗಿ ವಿಶ್ವಗಳ ಸೃಜಿಸಿ ನಡೆತು ಹರಿರ ಶಕ್ತಿಯೇ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಣಗಳ ಮನೋಮೋಹಗಳ ಸೂತ್ರಧರ ಯುಕ್ತಿಯೇ ಅಖಿಲ ಬಂಧನದ ಹೃದಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಿನಾಶಿ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯೇ ನಿನ್ನ ಅವತಾರವೆನ್ನ ಉದ್ಧಾರ ಬಾ ದಿವ್ಯ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯೇ ಎಲ್ಲವನು ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಡುಗೂಡಿ ನೀನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೀನೆ ಜ್ಯೋತಿಯಾದರೂ ತಮೋ ಲೀಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಳದ ಮುದ್ರೆಯಾದೆ ಎನಿತು ಕರೆದರೂ ಹೋಗಳ್ಳದಿರುವ ಅಚಿನ್ಮುದ್ರೆಯಾದೆ ಬೆಳಗಿನನ್ನಾತ್ಮ ತಿಳಿದು ಬಾ ತಾಯಿ ನೀನೆ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಬೋಧೆ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ತಾಯೇ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ 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 ಗಾಳಿ ಗುಸಿರು ನೀ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಗುರಿಯು ನೀ ಉದಕೆ ಅದರ ಜೀವ ಅಗ್ನಿ ಇಂದ್ರ ವರುಣಾರ್ಕ ನೋಡಿ ನಾ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾವಚೀವ ಶಿವನ ಶಕ್ತಿ ನೀ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ನೀ ಚತುರ್ಮುಖ ನರಾಣಿ ದಿವ್ಯ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ನನ್ನಳುದ್ಭವಿಸಿ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ಆಗಮಿಸುವಾಣಿ ಪದ್ಮ ಹೃದಯ ಪದ್ಮದ ನಾಲೆ ಕರೆವಾರ ಮಾ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ಗರಿ ಗೆದರಿ ಕರವೆ ಬಾ ತಾಯಿ ಬಾ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ಚೈತ್ಯ ಪುರುಷ ಯಜ್ಞಕ್ಕೆ ನೀನೆ ಅಧ್ಯಾಯ ಬಾ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ತಾಯಿ 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 ಇಳಿದು ಬಾ ಓಂ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ ತ್ರಿತ್ವಮುಖವಾದ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you for the invocation song, madam. I now request Secretary Sri A.N. Gangadharaya to welcome the dignitaries on and off the dais.
A very good evening to one and all. At the outset, I would like to express my honor and joy in welcoming you all to this august gathering. The Supreme Court of India is not only the highest and most powerful court in India, but as His Lordship Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Vok put it, it is one of the strongest courts in the world. Amongst us, we have our two eminent judges who served at the High Court of Karnataka being elevated to the Supreme Court of India. Today, we have gathered here to felicitate two top legal minds of this country who, on account of their contributions to the legal field, be it at the bar or at the bench, have been elevated to their present position. I therefore deem it my utmost privilege welcoming you all to this felicitation ceremony in honor of Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Vok and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Honorable Judges of High Court of Supreme Court of India. I would like to firstly welcome the stars of today's event. We all have seen able leadership of His Lordship Justice Abhay Srinivas Vok for over a period of 2 years in the High Court of Karnataka as our Chief Justice. Lordship's tremendous acumen in dispensation of justice and skillful arbitration infused great strength and hope in judicial system of Karnataka. In specific, actions of Karnataka High Court under the able leadership of Justice Vok during the pandemic came to be praised by the Supreme Court of India. Today, we have seen himself being elevated to the Supreme Court of India. We are all extremely proud of this feat achieved by our former Chief Justice. And I am sure I speak for our brethren at High Court of Judicature at Bombay too when I say that the legal fraternity is proud today on the elevation of Justice Mr. Abhay Srinivas Vok. On behalf of Advocates Association Bangalore, I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna has been a part of this High Court of Karnataka ever since beginning of her legal career. Having been part of both bar and bench here, having practiced before the Karnataka High Court and having been appointed as judge here, she is what one may call our very own homegrown judge. Ever since her elevation to the bench of Karnataka High Court, Justice Nagaratna has been a torchbearer of justice and ensured that it is not only be done, but also seemed to be done. She has fiercely stood for the rights of women and children, and her judgments with respect to the status of illegitimate children, education of children, especially girl students, and their hygiene are ever-standing testaments to her cause for justice. God willing, she is in the line to become the first woman Chief Justice of India, a position she truly deserves and position which would become more illustrious having an occupant such as my Lordship Justice B.V. Nagaratna. A warm welcome to you, madam, on behalf of the Advocates Association Bangalore. Joining us in felicitating it, honorable judges on this elevation to the Supreme Court, we have our midst as chief guest, Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Sri Basavaraj Bommai. I take the privilege of welcoming you, sir. We also have the gracious presence of our acting Chief Justice, Honorable Mr. Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, as our chief guest. I take this opportunity to congratulate your Lordship on being appointed as our acting Chief Justice, and a warm welcome to you too, sir. Adding now, I take time to welcome Sri Prablinke Nawadgi, Advocate General, Government of Karnataka, as our guest of honor on this occasion, sir. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome Sri A.P. Ranganatha, President of Advocates Association Bangalore, to preside over this felicitation function. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome our Treasurer Sri Shivamurthy to this function, sir. I further heartily welcome all the honorable judges of High Court of Karnataka and graciously extend welcome to all the honorable former judges of High Court of Karnataka. I extend warm welcome to all the senior councils of High Court of Karnataka. I extend welcome to Additional Solicitor M.B. Nargund and Assistant Solicitor Shanti Bhushan. I graciously welcome Honorable Justice P. Vishwanatha Shetty, Lokayukta, Karnataka Government. I extend my warm welcome to the family members of Justice Oak and Justice Nagaratna, Madam. I extend heartfelt welcome to Honorable Minister Somanaji also. I would like to extend warm welcome to Sri Venkatesh Naik, Law Secretary, Government of Karnataka. I heartily welcome all the registrars of High Court of Karnataka to this function. I also welcome all the judicial officers and the registrars of district judiciary. A warm welcome to all the additional advocate generals, state public prosecutor, additional SPPs, and all law officers of the Government of Karnataka. I extending my warm welcome to all the respected members of the Karnataka State Bar Council. I respectfully and heartily welcome all my respected governing council members of Advocate Association Bangalore. Finally, the essence of this grand felicitation function would not be same without the presence of my fellow advocate fraternity. I very warm welcome to you all, my dear friends. Last but not the least, I welcome all the members of print and electronic media to this function. I once again thank you all for your gracious presence. Thank you.
Thank you for your warm welcome, sir. I request the office bearers of Advocates Association Bengaluru, President, General Secretary, Treasurer, to felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judges, Supreme Court of India. Now, I request the office bearers of Dharwad and Kalburgi Now, I kindly request the office bearers of Dharwad and Kalburgi Circuit Bench, High Court of Karnataka to felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judges, Supreme Court of India. Honorable Chief Minister Shri Baswaraj Bommai, Government of Karnataka, will felicitate the Honorable Judges, Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak and Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judges, Supreme Court of India. ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್. ಮೇಡಮ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. Now, may I kindly request Shri A.P. Ranganath, President, Advocates Association, Bangalore, to deliver the felicitation address.
ಬೇಡ ಬನ್ನಿ ರಾಜಶೇಖರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸರ್ ಕಳಿಸಿ ಸರ್ ಯಾರು ಬನ್ನಿ ಬಾಪ ಬಾ ಬಾ Justice Shri Abhay Srinivas Vok, Judge Supreme Court of India, Justice Srimati B.V. Nagaratna, Judge Supreme Court of India, Shri Baswaraj Bommai, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, Justice Shri Satish Chandra Sharma, Honorable Acting Chief Justice, High Court of Karnataka, Shri Prabhuling K. Navadi, Advocate General, Government of Karnataka, Honorable Judges of the High Court of Karnataka and former judges of the High Court of Karnataka, Shri V. Somanna, Housing Minister, Honorable Lokayukta P. Vishwanath Shetty, Additional Solicitor General, Additional Advocate General, SPP, Government Advocates, Learned Senior Advocates, Registrar of the High Court of Karnataka, Judicial Officers, Office bearers of the Advocate Association, family members of Justice Shri Abhay Srinivas Vok, Justice Srimati B.V. Nagaratna, learned members of the bar. We have gathered here today to celebrate the elevation to the Supreme Court of India of two of the finest judges that have adorned our great High Court of Karnataka. Shri Abhay Srinivas Vok, our immediate past Chief Justice, has, through his judicial pronouncement, his conduct in court, as well as his immaculate grip on the administration, set highest standards which may be very hard to emulate. It has been our honor and privilege to have had him as our Chief Justice for more than 2 years. He has stood tall and sent a very strong message against corruption in judiciary, and during his term, we have seen more than 25 judicial officers being terminated from service and many more being denied promotion in a measure to cleanse our judicial system. He has been a great source of strength and support to the advocates' fraternity and every lawyer, whether senior or junior, have come away from his court with a very pleasant feeling. There is hardly an instance where a lawyer could claim to have faced an unpleasant or hostile environment in his court. As a bar with a strength of more than 20,000 in Bangalore alone, we also fully cooperated, and there has not been a single day on which there was reason to abstain from the court proceedings. But I must hesitate to add that in a suo motu proceedings initiated by the Honorable Chief Justice against the office bearer of the Advocate Association outside the city of Bangalore for having abstained from court work, I, as the President of the Association, had addressed a letter to the Honorable Chief Justice pointing out to His Lordship that the balance between the two wheels is not maintained by attacking one wheel. Balance is maintained by treating both wheels with dignity and respect. I further requested the Honorable Chief Justice, and I quote, "You have a long and rich experience both at the bar and the bench. We are sure that you will agree that these are issues that can be threshed out only by mutual discussion and debate, not by sanction. We therefore implore you to step back and deal with the situation in a manner that the head of the family is expected to." Before I conclude with regard to Honorable Justice Shri Abhay Srinivas Vogt, I would fail in my duty if I do not bring to the notice of this august gathering that his sense of commitment to the constitutional principles, including building of scientific temperament, was exceptional and unmatched. He has taken oath on the 10th of May 2019 on Friday at 11 a.m. during Rahu Kala, which is believed by the Hindus to be an unauspicious time. He was consistent and unwavering till the last day of his office as the Chief Justice, and he has discharged his duties unwavering by the fictional social divides such as religion, caste, race, color, and gender. His contribution to the welfare of the advocates in issuing direction through a PL initiated on the basis of a letter addressed by the Advocate Association Bangalore to provide health and life insurance to the lawyers will not only remain etched in our memory, the entire legal fraternity will remain ever grateful to this great judge. Sir, I am personally aware of the various hardships that you have faced in the discharge of your duties, including the health issue faced by you. In December 2019, you suffered from hepatitis, but even the seriousness of the illness and the condition that you were in did not deter you from continuing to discharge your administrative duties with the same vigor, strength, and commitment. You got back to the judicial function at the earliest and were faced with the onset of COVID-19 pandemic. Any normal person in your position would have perhaps been deterred by the said situation. You were, however, unfair and went ahead into only preparing the standard operating procedure, which has become an example for the entire nation, but also in ensuring that there was absolutely no delay in the dispensation of justice. You have never been late to the court proceedings and have hardly taken leave from office. It is a matter of record that in your entire period of service in the High Court of Karnataka, you have obtained only 9 days leave. You had, on the request of the bar, agreed and discharged the functions as the administrative judge of Bangalore City Civil Court. Your other attribute is total and absolute simplicity. Your invitation for your son's wedding bears testimony to this, as you had not even mentioned the prefix Justice or Chief Justice in the invitation card. Further, I am also reminded of the dignified manner in which you carried yourself. Even though a junior judge was elevated ahead of you to the Supreme Court, this is another example of your unstained commitment to and discipline to not only your job, as a Chief Justice, but also towards the institution. Sir, as you leave us to discharge higher responsibility, we are filled with mixed emotions and sadness and joy. That the High Court will miss you is not only foregone conclusion, but also an understatement. However, I, as the President of the Advocate Association Bangalore, say with certainty and without fear of contradiction that you have been one of the finest Chief Justices to have adorned the bench of one of the greatest High Court in the country, the High Court of Karnataka. Your performance as the Chief Justice and your commitment to uphold the constitutional principles will forever remain attached not only in the memory of the lawyers at large, but also on the walls of the High Court of Karnataka for eternity. We wish you a very meaningful tenure as a judge of the Supreme Court of India with the best of health and happiness to you and your family. Honorable Justice Srimati B.V. Nagaratna is one of the most well-known members of the legal fraternity in India, being the daughter of the great Justice E.S. Venkatramaiah, former Chief Justice of India. You have always been a pride of the bar, even as a lawyer and member of the Advocates Association Bangalore. You had carried yourself with great dignity and grace. It was a great and joyous moment for the members of the bar. When you were sworn as a judge of the High Court of Karnataka, we are all happy and still remember with happiness the day of your elevation. It was well known from the day you were elevated that you would one day reach the highest court of the land, and all of us were awaiting the day with great expectation. Similarly, it is well known that you will one day become the Chief Justice of India and create history by being the first woman of independent India to be so, and all of us anxiously await the day. We are not only honored and privileged, but also proud that a Kannadiga, a member of our very own bar, a woman, and the first woman to be so, will become the Chief Justice of India, and we wish you the very best. Madam, being a granddaughter of Doddalalli, Kanakpura Taluk, and is presently the only judge from the entire undivided Bangalore region. As a judge of the High Court, you have rendered landmark judgments and human service to the cause of the woman and unprivileged. The media throughout the country, both print and visual, have portrayed you as the champion of women's rights and highly appreciated several of your judgments. The bar today joins them in heralding you as the modern-day champion of women's rights in India. As the administrative judge of the City Civil Court and Bangalore Rural District, you have brought about several changes and ensured excellent facilities not only for the lawyers but also litigant public. The Creech facility, which is the first of its kind in the state of Karnataka, is provided in the City Civil Court, was recently inaugurated by Honorable Justice Shri Abhay Srinivas Wok and yourself. The facility must be credited to your vision and commitment to ensure that the mothers and the children are comfortable when they visit court. Similarly, you have undertaken a series of reforms to provide for public facilities and been very successful at it. You have strived as one of us from the days when you were a lawyer to now when you are elevated as a judge of the Supreme Court of India. Your service, both on judicial side as well as administrative side, will surely be missed by the High Court of Karnataka. We are aware that higher duties have beckoned you, and with a deep sense of pride that one of our own has not only made it to the highest court in the country, but also will be Chief Justice, has overtaken our sadness that you will not be with us as a part of this institution anymore. Tamma Tande, ದಿವಂಗತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ E.S. ವೆಂಕಟರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಇಡೀ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದಲ್ಲೇ ಹೆಸರುವಾಸಿಯಾದ KSV ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೋನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವು ವೃತ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಈ KSV ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ H.K. ವಾಸುದೇವ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ, ಶಾಂತರಾಜು, ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಾಜೇಂದ್ರ ಬಾಬು, ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡಕಾಳೇಗೌಡ, ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ, ಹಿರಿಯ ವಕೀಲರಾದ ನಂಜುಂಡರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಒಳಗೊಂಡ ಒಂದು ಉನ್ನತ ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವೂ ಒಬ್ಬರಾಗಿದ್ದು KSV ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 3ನೇ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗುವ ಭಾಗ್ಯ ತಮಗೆ ದೊರಕಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘವು ತಮ್ಮ ಸೇವಾವಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಕೀರ್ತಿ ತರಲಿ ಎಂದು ಹಾರೈಸುತ್ತಾ, ತಮಗೂ ಮತ್ತು ತಮ್ಮ ಕುಟುಂಬಕ್ಕೂ ದೇವರು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂತೋಷ ನೀಡಲಿ ಎಂದು ಹಾರೈಸುತ್ತಾ, ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರುವ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಆದಂಥ ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಬಸವರಾಜ ಬೊಮ್ಮಾಯಿರವರು ವಕೀಲರ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣದ ಮತ್ತು ನ್ಯಾಯಾಂಗದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಪಾರ ಗೌರವವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರೋರಾಗಿದ್ದು, ವಕೀಲರ ನುಡಿ ನಮನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನೂನು ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾತಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕರ್ ಅವರು ಈ ಡಿಸರ್ವ್ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಅವರು ತೆರಳಲಿ ಎನ್ನುವ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸವನ್ನು ಪ್ರೀತಿಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಆ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದರು. ಆ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಕಾನೂನು ಸಚಿವರು ಇಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವತ್ತು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕರ್ ಅವರು ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳ ಸಮಕ್ಷಮದಲ್ಲಿ ವಕೀಲರ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲೈಫ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ನೀಡುವ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ವಕೀಲರ ರಕ್ಷಣಾ ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತರುವ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಭರವಸೆಯನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕರ್ ಅವರ ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗಳಾದ ನಗರ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಜಾಗವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣವನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ವಕೀಲರಿಗೆ ಸಮಕ್ಷಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ವಿಮೆಯನ್ನು ನೀಡುವುದು ತಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಎಂದು ಭಾವಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಮತ್ತು ತಾವು ಈ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತೀರೆಂದು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೋರುತ್ತಾ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸುವ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ವಂದಿಸುತ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, ಜೈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ.
Thank you, sir. Shri Uday Holla, Senior Advocate and former Advocate General, Government of Karnataka, is undoubtedly a legal luminary that the country has seen and who inspires everyone with his personality. May I now request Shri Uday Holla, Senior Advocate and former Advocate General, Government of Karnataka, to speak a few words about the dignitaries.
Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. I know all of us are anxiously waiting for the two stars here to speak to us, so I should be as brief as possible, notwithstanding the fact that I would have so much to speak about the two personalities herein. Justice Oak was initially from Bombay, but since the last 2 years, he assimilated himself with us so much that he's today a part of Karnataka and he's a part of Kannadiga. In the course of my career as lawyer, I have seen and practiced before at least 24 Chief Justices of the Karnataka High Court. And without a fear of contradiction, I can tell every one of you that Justice Oak is the most hardworking and the most focused of all Chief Justices that I've seen. He not only revamped the entire judicial system here during the COVID period, which was the most troublesome period in the history of judiciary as well as in the history of the very nation. He ensured that the court in Karnataka functioned seamlessly, and the litigants as well as the bar is eternally grateful to him. This High Court of Karnataka was the only court which functioned when all other high courts in the country were shut, virtually shut. He was in the court 10:30 to 4:45, despite all his administrative activities, and you could set your watch by the time he came to the court at 10:30 and when he left at 4:45. I pride myself as a workaholic, but Justice Oak beats me to a shame. 10:30 to 4:45 on the dais, in the court hall, and thereafter the administrative work. 24/7, 365 days, I've seen him working. He was unfailingly courteous to the bar and at the same time upheld the rule of law, irrespective of the personalities who appeared before him. The great qualities of head and heart that he possesses is required to be eulogized, imbibed, and cultivated by every member of the bar here. I must share a secret with you. His first love was not his wife, but the public interest litigation. But of course, he never had any hidden agenda. It was always in the interest of the society and the citizens of this country. We dearly miss you, sir, in this bar, and the litigants of Karnataka also will miss you. Justice Nagaratna has been a part of us. I have had the privilege of appearing before her father here in the High Court as well as in the Supreme Court of India. She shares the same progeny and the characteristics of her father, that of excellence. She is also a workaholic. She carries with her the legacy of her father. Apart from that, of course, he was also very courteous. She is very courteous and patient. Her strength and character is humility. It is said that a judge must listen carefully and decide wisely. She has imbued this quality in abundance. Her judgments are well written, well researched. She will always be an inspiration to the younger members of the bar, especially the junior members of the bar as well as the ladies. It is said that the progress of the nation is assessed by the number of ladies that hold the positions of strength and power in the nation. And we are proud that we will shortly have a Chief Justice in Justice Nagaratna, Chief Justice of India in Justice Nagaratna, which position she rightly deserves and richly deserves. We are today elated that two of our judges, most able judges, have adorned the Supreme Court bench, have already started functioning. But there's a tinge of sadness in all of us because we have lost two of the most eminent judges that the Karnataka High Court had. Yes, the loss to the Karnataka bar is the gain of the entire nation. I wish both the judges a very fulfilling time in the Supreme Court of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your powerful and vibrant words. May I now request Sri K.N. Puttegowda, Advocate and former President, Advocates Association, Bangalore, to kindly speak a few words.
Honorable dignitaries and dais of the dais, we have gathered here today to felicitate two gems of High Court of Karnataka on their appointment as Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of India. In my 40 years of practice at bar, I have seen 24 Chief Justices, and very few of them were genuinely appreciated by the bar for their good administrative and judicial work. I can say without hesitation that my Lord Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak is the best amongst them. I had the privilege of appearing before my Lord in several public interest petitions. Immaculate memory, sincerity, honesty, and good treatment of junior and senior advocates are the hallmarks of my Lord Justice Abhay Srinivas Vogue. Several public interest petitions were pending from the last several years, and the order sheets runs to thousands of pages. But His Lordship would remember and quote each and every order passed earlier with precision. I am told that my Lord works for about 18 hours a day, which is commendable. Except for a few unavoidable days, His Lordship has not taken leave during his entire tenure as Chief Justice of High Court of Karnataka. Orders passed by the bench headed by my Lord has been instrumental in ensuring proper assistance to the poor and needy in COVID-19 pandemic period. Because of his bold decision during pandemic COVID-19, several advocates, judicial officers, court staffs, litigants are able to save their lives. That apart, decision in relation to saving and regulation of lakes, parks, playgrounds, maintenance of roads, solid waste management process, etc., have immensely contributed in well-being of the community in Bangalore city. Further, the decision to shift some of the offices in the basement floor of High Court of Karnataka to nearby buildings is a very bold and a welcome one. I always used to say, success comes to persons who are honest, sincere, and dedicated a little late. This is the example for our Chief Justice. Though late, it has arrived. His Lordship never worked for appreciations, but his satisfaction, that too for his consciousness. I pray God to give my Lord Justice Abhay Srinivas Vogue good health and wish him all the best to excel as Judge of Supreme Court of India. Now, I come into Honorable Justice B.V. Nagaratna. I must say that I know her from her practicing days in Kesvi and Company, which has given us several gems like Honorable Justice E.S. Venkatramaya, former Chief Justice of India, Justice Rajendra Babu, former Chief Justice of India, Justice Dodda Kalegowda, Justice Chandrasekharaya, Justice Anand Bhaira Reddy, Justice C.R. Kumaraswamy, former judges of High Court of Karnataka. Justice E.S. Venkatramaya was well known for legal acumen, cool temperament, and bold decisions, and my Lord Justice B.V. Nagaratna is continuing her father's legacy by being an upright, honest, sincere, and an efficient judge of High Court of Karnataka. I have appeared before the bench headed by Mr. Justice N. Kumar and Justice B.V. Nagaratna in solid waste management case of Bangalore City Corporation. The said bench monitored the case from the year 2012 till Justice N. Kumar retired. In the said case, Justice B.V. Nagaratna, as one of the judges, passed several orders regarding framing of solid waste management rules and implement the same regarding segregation of wet waste, dry waste, medical waste, and bulk waste separately in Bangalore city. I remember the division bench had inspected solid waste processing centers, solid waste dumping yards, and management system in Bangalore city. It is need a great moment for all of us to see my Lord Justice B.V. Nagaratna occupy the position of Chief Justice of India like her illustrious father in few years. I wish her all the best and pray God to give her good health and strength to excel as a judge of Supreme Court of India, ultimately as Chief Justice of India. I thank for the office bearers of the association for giving me an opportunity to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request President Shri A.P. Ranganath to garland Shri Baswaraj Bommai, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka. I request our General Secretary, Shri A.N. Gangadharaya, to garland Honorable Mr. Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, Acting Chief Justice, High Court of Karnataka. I request our Treasurer, Shri Shivmurthy, to garland Shri Prabhuling K. Nawadgi, Advocate General, Government of Karnataka. Today's guest of honor, Shri Prabhuling K. Nawadgi, Advocate General, Government of Karnataka. Sir, I kindly request you to address the gathering.
Honorable Shri Justice Abhay Srinivaso, Judge Supreme Court of India. Honorable Srimati Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judge Supreme Court of India. Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri Basavaraj Bommai ji. Honorable the Acting Chief Justice of Karnataka, Shri Satish Chandra Sharma, the President of the Advocates Association. Shri Gangadharaya and Shivamurthy, the Office Bearers of the Association. Honorable Judges of the Karnataka High Court. Shri P. Vishwanath Shetty, the Karnataka Lokayukta. Family members of Honorable Justice Oak and Honorable Srimati Justice Nagaratna. My colleagues at the bar, former judges of the Karnataka High Court, distinguished members of the bar. Today, we have all assembled here to extend a very warm greetings and felicitation to Honorable Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak and Honorable Srimati Justice Nagaratna. And it gives me great pleasure and a singular privilege as an Advocate General on behalf of the bar to felicitate both of them. Sir, we extend our heartfelt congratulations on your elevation as judges of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Mr. Uday Holla, Mr. Puttegowda, and the President have spoken on behalf of the bar. Normally, as a state counsel, I am expected to oppose them. But though my Chief Minister is there, notwithstanding the same, sir, I will permit me to offer no contest and completely agree with them that you are one of the finest Chief Justices of the Karnataka High Court. Your tenure as Chief Justice for over a period of 2 years, 3 months had both stellar role as a judge as well as on the administrative side. As a judge, with your scholarly knowledge of law and a very sound common sense, I had always observed that you could reach the dispute, the point of dispute very easily and resolve them in a very simple manner. Most of us know that when the Franklin Templeton case, which was a very important case, when large number of depositors' money was stuck, various writ petitions and disputes were filed by various depositors before different parts of the country. The Honorable Supreme Court of India chose Karnataka High Court to resolve all these disputes, and I know very well, Lordships along with Justice Kennedy sat continuously for a period of more than 3 months, wherein counsels not only from different parts of the country, but different parts of the world appeared before you, and you gave a very landmark judgment running more than 300 pages, wherein you decided new dimensions relating to corporate law. And of course, the other judgment, the last of the judgments, were one which was on the Tree Census Act, where Lordships gave new dimensions to treat the tree also as a living thing and as to ensure as to how the translocation has to take place. on the administrative side, sir. You presided over in a very difficult time, and I am aware the way the entire proceedings before the court was converted into virtual hearings. The Supreme Court treated Karnataka model as one which requires to be followed by the entire country. And thereafter, conversion of virtual mode to a hybrid system also was done very seamlessly. Mr. Ranganath mentioned about Lordships being unwell during your initial period of time, but notwithstanding the fact that Lordships had not fully recovered from hepatitis B, yet resumed work. Well, I am aware and I can share with this very august gathering the reason why Lordships resumed, even though he was not very well, which he incidentally told me. That is, there was a newspaper report which questioned, which had some unsavory and reports which questioned the credibility of subordinate judiciary. It was that prompted him to come back, sit, and initiate suo motu contempt proceedings against all the newspapers. And he said, this singularly prompted me to resume my work. That shows Lordship's concern for independence of judiciary and to maintain the dignity of the judiciary. The second aspect, which I shared with all my colleagues at the time when we felicitated his Lordships at the time of his elevation to the Supreme Court, was the fact that when on 23rd March, when the Prime Minister announced lockdown, practically every institution in the country had come to close. It was his Lordships along with Srimati Justice Nagaratna who held a special sitting at his residence. And he told me at that time, whether any of the institutions close down in this country or not, the institution of judiciary should never close, the court should never close, because access to justice forms an integral part and basic structure of the Constitution. Sir, on behalf of the bar, I once again congratulate you, and I am very sure Lordship's rich experience as a judge of the Karnataka High Court and judge of the Mumbai High Court will stand good stead in your discharge of your duties as a judge of the Supreme Court. Insofar as Honorable Srimati Justice B.V. Nagaratna is concerned, we are all aware that she comes from a very distinguished family of jurists. Her father, Honorable Sri Justice E.S. Venkatramaya, has the rare distinction of being the first Chief Justice from Karnataka. Apart from that, he was also, incidentally, the Advocate General for the state of Karnataka. Srimati Justice Nagaratna, as it was being mentioned, had her initial tutelage with Sri G.V. Shantaraju of Kesvi and Company, and thereafter started off her own, and as it was destined, in the year 2008, she was appointed as a judge of the Karnataka High Court. She, in her tenure as the judge of the Karnataka High Court, has delivered several judgments in different branches of law. Two of them which I could immediately recall was, one of them was under the Companies Act, where she made a very fine distinction between retrospective law and retroactive law while interpreting the provisions of the Companies Act which related to disqualification of directors. The very second, very great, significant statement of law she made in that KPTCL case was, there can be illegitimate parents, but there cannot be illegitimate children. As it has been said, my lord, you have the rare distinction of being the first woman judge from Karnataka to be elevated to the Supreme Court, and a near and a certain prospect of being the first Lady Chief Justice of India. On behalf of the bar, on behalf of the legal fraternity of the state of Karnataka, we wish you, both of you, a great tenure as a judges of the Honorable Supreme Court. Before I conclude, I think it is appropriate to quote Benjamin Cardozo in his very famous article on judicial process as to how judges decide their cases, which I think is appropriate as Lordships go on to adorn an institution of the Supreme Court, which is considered the beacon of light for many of its citizenry. This is what Cardozo says: judges cannot escape the sensitive currents of society any more than other mortals. All their lives, forces which they do not recognize and cannot name have been tugging at them: inherited instincts, traditional beliefs, acquired convictions, and the resultant is an outlook on life, a conception of social needs, a sense, in James' phrase, of the total push and pressures of the cosmos, which, when reasons are nicely balanced, must determine where choice shall fall. Wishing all of you the very best. I must thank Mr. Ranganath and his office bearers for giving me an opportunity to be part of this felicitation program. Thanking each one of you. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience. I also take this opportunity on behalf of the Advocates Association Bengaluru to welcome the family members of Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judges Supreme Court of India. I request Srimati Mamta, Vice President, Advocates Association Bengaluru, to kindly welcome Mrs. Abhay Srinivas Oak. I request Mr. Harish, Governing Council Member, High Court Unit, to kindly welcome Mr. Gopal Krishna. A man who's highly disciplined and leading the entire state is our dynamic Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Baswaraj Bommai, Government of Karnataka. I kindly request our Honorable Chief Minister to address the gathering.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ಭಾಳ ಅಪರೂಪದ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭ. ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಈ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ನನ್ನ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ. ಇಬ್ಬರು ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರು ಭಾರತದ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯುತ್ತಿರುವ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸಮ್ಮುಖದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾಗಿ ಸನ್ಮಾನಿಸಿ ಗೌರವಿಸಿ ಉನ್ನತ ಹುದ್ದೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನೀವು ಇಡೀ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡಿನ ಹೆಸರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಅಂತಂದು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ. ಈ ಅಪರೂಪ ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರುವಂಥ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳು ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಶ್ರೀ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ ಅವರೇ, ನಮ್ಮವರೇ ಆದಂಥ ಕನ್ನಡತಿ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ B.V. ನಾಗರತ್ನ ಅವರೇ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಉಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಹಂಗಾಮಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರೇ, ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಆದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀ ಪ್ರಭುಲಿಂಗ ನಾಗುದಿಗೆ ಅವರೇ, ಈ ಸಮಾರಂಭದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಬಿಂದು ಸದಾ ಕ್ರಿಯಾಶೀಲಿರುವಂಥ ನನ್ನ ಮಿತ್ರ ರಂಗನಾಥ್, ವಕೀಲ ಸಂಘದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಂಥ ರಂಗನಾಥ್ ಅವರೇ, ಹಾಗೂ ಈ ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರುವಂಥ ಇತರ ಪದಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳೇ, ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತ ಆದಂಥ ಹಿರಿಯರಾದಂಥ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರವರೇ, ಹಾಗೂ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ ಮತ್ತು ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ನಾಗರತ್ನ ಅವರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಸದಸ್ಯರೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವಂಥ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರೇ, ಹಿರಿಯ ವಕೀಲರೇ, ವಕೀಲ ಸಂಘದ ಸರ್ವ ಸದಸ್ಯರೇ, ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮಂದಿರೇ, ಅಕ್ಕ ತಂಗಿರೇ, ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದು ಭಾಳ ಅಲ್ಪ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ನಡೆಸೋರು ಈ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎದುರುಗಡೆನೇ ತಾವು ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಶರು ಎದುರುಗಡೆನೇ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಹಿರಿಯರು, ದೂರ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಅದು ಕೆಂಪುದಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ. Sir, I was just mentioning that we people who run the government, we sit in this stone building, and our forefathers have built the High Court where the Honorable Justice and Chief Justice sit, and it is so close that whatever we do here is seen there. ಆ ಅರಿವಿನಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾನು ನೀರಾವರಿ ಸಚಿವನಾಗಿ, ಗೃಹ ಸಚಿವನಾಗಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಬಾರಿ ನನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಫೈಲ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾನು ಹಾಸ್ಯದಲ್ಲೇ ಅಥವಾ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ಈ ಫೈಲು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಕೆಂಪ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. And that's a nice relation we have. And we should have that good relation. No relation is not the right thing in democracy. No relation between executives, legislature and judiciary and press person is not a good thing in. You should have a relation, and right kind of relation. We can't be independent. Therefore, we are interdependent. And this interdependency will certainly bring a kind of responsibility in each of the institutions which our forefathers have enriched in the Constitution, to see that you stand yourself firmly, at the same time you see that the others also stand firmly because of you, because of your conduct. That is the relation our forefathers who have written the Constitution. If we see the debates of the Constitution formation, I think this conclusion can be drawn. Sir, Abhay Srinivas Vogue, Honorable Chief Justice of Karnataka, is a very unique, high caliber justice. This is what my observation is. Normally, we look justice through judgments. That's a normal course. But he has adopted such a fine course without really coming to the conclusion of judgment. The course corrections he has formulated during his tenure is really remarkable. He believed in course correction than real ultimate judgment where it can be punishable. The greatest punishment for somebody who has done wrong is to correct himself. That's what our Gita also says. So that exactly has been followed. And as I said, being this part of this thing, I have said that whatever Justice Vogue has said is right. We have to correct it. Correction is the only answer to appear before him. Therefore, the method he has adopted has changed the definition of relation between legislature and the judiciary. It can coexist, it can really work together, and at the same time there can be contradictions. Therefore, as a law minister, my first duty was to see that ambiguity in a law is removed. When Justice Srinivas Vogue is there as a Chief Justice, there is no scope for ambiguity in the law. So I was very careful in finalizing the finer aspects of the law, that all knots are tied properly, there will be no untied knots, there will be no ambiguity in the law. This is what effect I had in his presence as a Chief Justice of Karnataka. Secondly, he was a very compassionate judge. His compassion has gone beyond the normal justice which is delivered. And as our Advocate General has rightly put it, he understood it so well and came to the crux of the whole problem rather than going around. A judge who is clear about the whole issue or the case will come to the crux of the problem. I'm sorry if I don't mistake me. Sometimes, in some cases, it will be very hard to find the center of the gravity of the problem, because our lawyer friends are there to convince you or confuse you. So, an intelligent judge will come to the crux of the whole issue. And that aspect is very, very clearly seen in his judgments. And his elevation to the Supreme Court is an asset to the Supreme Court. And days to come, I am sure that whenever Justice Srinivas Oak will deliver his judgments, Karnataka will be remembered, because there is something in this soil of Karnataka. It has got a very rich tradition of high caliber judiciary, legal officers, and wherever they have gone, they have performed excellently. Therefore, I must say that Srinivas Oak ji, Honorable Justice of Supreme Court, will remember his journey to Supreme Court via Bangalore. ನಮ್ಮೂರು ನಾಗರತ್ನ, ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ನಾಗರತ್ನ ಅವರು ಈಗ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟಿನ ಆನರಬಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ನಾಗರತ್ನ ಅವರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಹೃದಯ ತುಂಬಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿ ಬಾರಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ತೋರಿಸಿರುವಂಥ ಆತ್ಮೀಯತೆ ಭಾಳ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಹಂಬಲ್ನೆಸ್, ಆ ಹ್ಯುಮಿಲಿಟಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ಬಿಲೀವಬಲ್. ನಾನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಪ್ಪು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಬೇಡಿ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಲರ್ನೆಡ್ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥವ್ರನ್ನಂತೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಆದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಐ ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ, ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ you created that kind of atmosphere where even a common man can feel comfortable talking to you. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯವರಿಂದ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರಿಂದ ಅವರು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿತು ಆ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಇದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನಮಗೀಗ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ 3 times ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ತಿಂದಂಗಾಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದು ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ ಅವರು ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ನಾಗರತ್ನ ಅವರು ಎಲಿವೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಡಬಲ್ ಸ್ವೀಟು. ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಏನಂದರೆ ಇವರು ಚೀಫ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಇದೆ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಪ್ರೌಡ್ of our Karnataka judiciary, and this comes from the very active legal fraternity. All the credit should go to the legal fraternity. Without the legal fraternity, we can't have a performing judiciary also. Therefore, I really thank the legal fraternity of Karnataka, who has done a wonderful job. And I must say that compared to some of the states, the respect for the law and respect for the justice in the society and in the government is really highly commendable when you compare to the other societies. That is the culture of Karnataka. That is the culture which our forefathers have inculcated in us. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಚರನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಈ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು ಭಾಳ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆ. ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಇವೆರಡೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇರೆ. ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಜುಡಿಷರಿಯ ತನ್ನ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ದೇಶ ಸುಭದ್ರವಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಿದೆಯೋ ಅದು ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಬಿಸಿಕಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು, ಈಗ ಮಿಕ್ಸಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಮೊದಲು ಸೈಕಲ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಇವತ್ತು ಮೋಟರ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿದೆ, ಅದು ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಕಲ್ಚರು ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ civilization is what we have and culture is what we are. So judiciary is like a culture. So it should always be what we are. And our judiciary ne namge ontara the anchor of democracy. Judiciary is an anchor of democracy, where we build our democratic institutions, democratic values. And ultimately, the aim of this thing is democratic welfare society. That is the aim of our constitution. It is not just a welfare society, it's a democratic welfare society, which is the ultimate goal of our constitution. And our constitution has stood the test of the time, and it is one of the most alive and vibrant constitution which we have. And based on that, we have to govern as well as deliver the justice. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಉತ್ತಮವಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. We have got, when I see this thing, we have got one of the finest judges in Karnataka who can bring solution to any complicated issues, be it constitutional, legal, social, any kind of problem. Our Karnataka judiciary is so capable that it can give solution. It is a part of the solution, and there is such a positivity in all the actions which they exhibit. And secondly, the infrastructure what we have in Karnataka is one of the finest infrastructures we have. That shows the society and the government respect towards the judiciary. Hence that I, as a head of the government, I humbly submit that I will continue that rich culture, rich heritage and tradition, and that respect towards judiciary and legal fraternity. And I stand before you to say that the rule of law in this state will prevail. Thank you, sir. And I once again congratulate on the elevation of our Chief Justice Srinivas Abhay and our Justice Madam, Honorable Madam Nagaratna as a Supreme Court Judge. Congratulations once again. Thank you.
I thank the Honorable Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai sir for his kind words and sharing his experience. Moving further, I request Honorable Mr. Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, Acting Chief Justice, High Court of Karnataka, to kindly share his thoughts.
Honorable Shri Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak, Judge Supreme Court of India, Honorable Srimati B.V. Nagaratna, Judge Supreme Court of India, Shri Baswaraj Bomoi, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, esteemed brother and sister judges, Shri Prabhuling K. Nawadgi, Advocate General, Shri A.P. Ranganath, President, Shri A.N. Gangadharaya, General Secretary, Shri Shiv Murthy, Treasurer, and other office bearers of the Advocates Association Bangalore, learned judicial officers, learned seated advocates, and other learned members of the bar, ladies and gentlemen, family members of the honorable judges. I am grateful to the Bar Association for providing me this platform to speak few words about honorable judges. His Lordship Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak assumed the office of Chief Justice of High Court of Karnataka on May 10, 2019. The people of Karnataka were very fortunate to have a very hard-working, humble, and a fearless Chief Justice. In a brief span of 2 years and 3 months and 26 days, His Lordship disposed of 3,873 cases. The imposition of lockdown and the COVID pandemic did not deter the work. His Lordship took leave only for 11 days during the tenure as Chief Justice in Karnataka, that too on account of some medical problems. His Lordship has rendered several notable judgments on various aspects of law. His Lordship has given several timely and important directions to the government, particularly in issues relating to migrant crisis, shortage of oxygen during the pandemic, and also shortage of vaccines. His Lordship had great respect and love for the members of bar and got equal cooperation from the bar in discharging his duties as the Chief Justice of Karnataka. In reply to the farewell speech delivered by the Chairman of Karnataka Bar Council on 27th of August this year, His Lordship spoke about the bar members, quote, "Now that most of the members of the bar at Bangalore will not be appearing before me, I take this opportunity to record my highest appreciation for the members of the bar practicing before the principal seat of this court as well as before the benches. All of them were always well prepared. The most important quality of the members of the bar, which I must highlight, is that they know where to stop and where to draw a line. This is a rare quality possessed by the members of the bar. Most of the members of the bar displayed quality of fairness. I hope and trust that the younger members of the bar continue all these highest traditions," unquote. His Lordship never lost his temper either in the court or in the chamber and was a perfect example as to how a judge should function and behave. He was strict and disciplined, but without being harsh. He was very firm without being adamant and never went out of the way to please anyone. Though pandemic struck during his tenure and saw 2 waves, His Lordship worked 24/7 hours, leading the judiciary by working out standard operating procedure for the High Court and trial courts. In this regard, several committee meetings were held, which even went till late hours in the night. His Lordship regularly reviewed the work of the High Court as well as trial courts and held regular screening of judicial officers and thereby strengthened the faith of the common man, the judiciary. He was a great administrator and made the registrars and principal district and session judges to work relentlessly. It resulted in good administration in the courts, and the number of disposals started surpassing the number of institution of cases. His Lordship's profound knowledge of law, expertise in all branches of law, dedication, sincerity, commitment, and courage led to His Lordship's elevation to the Honorable Supreme Court of India. On elevation of His Lordship to Honorable Supreme Court, the Bar Council of Maharashtra and all the Bar Association of Maharashtra passed a resolution, and they resolved to celebrate Festival of Justice on the day he took oath, and it was celebrated in the entire state of Maharashtra. Her Ladyship Justice B.V. Nagaratna followed the footsteps of her father, former Chief Justice of India, Justice E.S. Venkat Ramaiah, who was the CJI in the year 1989. Her ladyship took a bold decision to return from Delhi to Bangalore to practice law. She practiced in various facets of law. Considering her merit and experience in the bar, she was elevated to the High Court of Karnataka in the year 2008. From 18 to 2008 to 28th of August, in a span of about 13 and a half years, her ladyship has disposed of total number of 42,162 cases. She has delivered several landmark judgments, many of which are reported in law journals. Her ladyship was concerned for the marginalized section of the society. In one of the judgments, her ladyship has held that illegitimate children are also entitled to be considered for compassionate appointment. She has observed that there may be illegitimate parents, but there cannot be illegitimate children. In another judgment, her ladyship has held that temple is not a commercial establishment and its employees are not entitled to gratuity under the Payments of Gratuity Act, but can avail similar benefits under the Karnataka Hindu Religious Institutions and Charitable Endowment Act. In another decision, her ladyship has elucidated the concept of shared parenting of children whose parents have separated by borrowing the idea from overseas jurisprudence and adapting it to Indian laws and society by issuing various directions from time to time. During the tenure as a judge of the High Court of Karnataka, her ladyship exhibited deep and thorough knowledge in both procedural and substantive law. She was very accommodative to the members of the bar and received the best cooperation from the advocates at Bangalore, Dharwad, and Kalburgi. In the reply to the farewell speech delivered by the chairman of the Karnataka State Bar Council on 27th of August of this year, her ladyship said, quote, "I have enjoyed my work as an advocate and as a judge of this court during the last 34 years. I think my life has been enriched by my association with this red building and with everybody with whom I have worked and are working here. On the administrative side, her ladyship has chaired several committees in the High Court and was also president of Karnataka Judicial Academy. Her ladyship discharged both judicial and administrative functions with firmness, integrity, and exuberance. Her ladyship would be creating history by breaking the glass ceiling when she would be sworn in as the first woman Chief Justice of India in the year 2027. I, on my own behalf and on behalf of my brother and sister judges, wish both of you a very bright and prosperous future. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. President has to share something.
ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ BV ನಾಗರತ್ನರವರು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ಚೆಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ BV ನಾಗರತ್ನರವರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತೇನೆ.
The moment which we all are waiting for. Now, may I kindly request Honorable Mrs. Justice BV Nagaratna, Judge, Supreme Court of India, to do the felicitation reply.
ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗಣ್ಯರಿಗೂ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹನೀಯರಿಗೂ, ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೂ, ಬಂಧು ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೂ, ಅಕ್ಕ ತಂಗಿಯರು ಹಾಗೂ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮಂದಿರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಕವಿ ಕುವೆಂಪು ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಂತೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಡು ಭೂದೇವಿಯ ಮಕುಟದ ನವಮಣಿಯಂತಿರುವ ಸಮೃದ್ಧ ನಾಡು. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಜನನ ನನ್ನ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮಹಾನ್ ದಾರ್ಶನಿಕರು ಹಾಗೂ ಕೌಶಲ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಸರಾದದ್ದು. ಕದಂಬ ಚಾಲುಕ್ಯ ಹೊಯ್ಸಳ ಮೈಸೂರು ಅರಸರಂತೆ ಆಡಳಿತರಾಗಿದ್ದ ಉದಯಿಸಿದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. ವಿಜ್ಞಾನೇಶ್ವರ ಮಿತಾಕ್ಷರವು ಈ ನಾಡಿನ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗೆ 4 ಜನ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವರು ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿರುವ 23 ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳು ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ವಿಷಯ. ನನ್ನೊಡನೆ ಹಾಲಿ ನೇಮಕಗೊಂಡ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಉಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ರವರು ಕೂಡ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ಸರ್ವೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ನೇಮಕಗೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ ಎಂದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ವಿಷಯ. ಇಂದು ಮತ್ತು ಭವಿಷ್ಯದಲ್ಲೂ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ, ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ, ನೈತಿಕ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ಏಳಿಗೆಗೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಏಳಿಗೆ ಪಡೆಯಲಿ ಎಂದು ಹಾರೈಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. My Lord Honorable Sri Abhay Srinivas Oak, Judge Supreme Court of India, Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka Sri Basavaraj Bommai, Chief Guest of this function, Honorable Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, Acting Chief Justice High Court of Karnataka and Chief Guest of this function, Learned Advocate General, Government of Karnataka Sri Prabhuling K. Navadgi, Guest of Honor, Sri A.P. Rangnath, Sri Gangadaraya and Sri Shivmurthy, President, Secretary and Treasurer, and other office bearers of the Advocates Association, Bengaluru, my learned brother and sister judges, sitting judges of Karnataka High Court and former judges of the High Court of Karnataka, Sri P. Vishwanath Shetty, Honorable Lokayukta, Sri L. Srinivas Babu, Chairman of the Karnataka State Council, Bar Council and members of the Bar Council, Sri M. B. Nargun, Learned Additional Solicitor General for India, Sri Shanti Bhushan, Learned Assistant Solicitor General for High Court of Karnataka, Learned Additional Advocate Generals, Law Officers of Government of Karnataka and Central Government, former Advocate Generals, Learned Senior Advocates and Learned Members of the Bar, Registrar General and all the Registrars, Learned Judges of the District Judiciary of Karnataka, members of the family of Chief Justice Oak, my own family members, members of the press and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen who are present in person and online. At the outset, I thank the office bearers and members of the Advocates Association, Bengaluru, for this very affectionate felicitation and honor that I have been given on the occasion of my elevation as a judge of the Supreme Court of India. I also thank all the speakers for their kind words of appreciation. Before I speak further, I would like to take a leaf from Narada Smriti, which embodies the following logic. And I quote, "A court is not a court if there are not elders. Elders are not elders unless they pronounce dharma. Dharma is not dharma unless there is truth. Truth is not truth if it is mixed with sophistry. This, I think, is the essence of all our work as judges." In this August gathering, I pray to the Almighty to give me the courage, health, and strength to discharge my duties in the apex court in the most befitting manner. My memory goes back several decades, but first I will take the first incident of December 1981. That was just prior to the rendering of the judgment in the first judge's case, S.P. Gupta. One evening, my father called me. He shouted and he said, "Nagu, come here, we'll baili to the office room." And I went. And he recited the sloka of Bhartarahari, the English translation of which is found in the last paragraph of the judgment, and I quote, "Let men trained in ethics or morality insult or praise. Let Lakshmi, wealth, accumulate or vanish as she likes. Let death come today itself or at the end of a yuga, millennium. Men with discretion will not deflect from the path of rectitude. This has been my Bhagavad Gita, my Quran, or my Bible, whatever you may, Guru Granth, whatever you may call it. I have always borne this with me during my 13.5 years of judgeship. It is a great ideal. It is very difficult to achieve it, but I have tried to do so. In that judgment, he has extolled about the constitutional provisions and conventions for maintaining the independence of judiciary. But ultimately, he says, if the judiciary should be really independent, something more is necessary than what we have at present, and that is to seek in the judge himself and not outside. A judge should be independent of himself. A judge is a human being who is a bundle of passions and prejudices, likes and dislikes, affection and ill will, hatred and contempt, and fear and recklessness. In order to be a successful judge, these elements should be curbed and kept under restraint, and that is possible only by education, training, continued practice and cultivation of a sense of humility and dedication to duty. These curbs can neither be bought in the market nor injected into human system by the written or unwritten laws. If these three things are there, even if any of the protective measures provided by the Constitution and the laws go, the independence of the judiciary will not suffer. But with all these measures being there, still a judge may not be independent. It is the inner strength of the judges alone that can save the judiciary. The life of a judge does not really call for great acts of self-sacrifice, but it does insist upon small acts of self-denial almost every day. I think this is what has brought me all this while, because what he told me in December 1981, which I did not realize for what purpose he said, has resurrected itself in me after I became a judge. Let me also take this occasion to state about a unique record of Karnataka judiciary. Today, we should celebrate the fact that from Karnataka, we have an illustrious father and an illustrious son, namely Justice K.S. Santosh Hegde and his illustrious son, Justice K.S. Hegde and his illustrious son, Justice Santosh Hegde, who went from Karnataka to the Supreme Court. Not being behind, a father and a daughter, Venkatramaya and Nagaratna, have also gone from Karnataka. I think this unique record cannot be broken anywhere, nowhere, and Karnataka has this distinction of father and son and father and daughter. All this is only because of the goodwill and that was generated and the work that has been done. Therefore, I must say on this occasion that it has been my life goal to bring name and fame to my father. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. Lordship, Justice Oak, please permit me to say a few words in Kannada. ಮೇ 25ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು 1987, ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇಪರ್, ಫೈನಲ್ ಪೇಪರು. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? 3 ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೇ ಓದೋದ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗೋವಂಥ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ದಾದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ ಅಂತ. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೇ ಓದೋಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೇನಂತ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಕಡೆನೇ ನನ್ನ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಆವಾಗ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರೂ ಗಂಡು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಲಿದ್ದೋ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಡುಕೋದು ಗಂಡನ, ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನೀನು ಈ ಮನೆ ಬಿಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದರು. ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ? ನಾವು 4th ತುಗ್ಲಕ್ ರೋಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದು. ಆವಾಗಿನ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಏನೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಮೊಬೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರು ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಫೋನ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅವಾಗೇನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆವಾಗ ಒಂದೇ ಟೆಲಿಫೋನ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು, 3016515. ಆ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೋ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕಕ್ಷಿದಾರಿಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೋ. ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಥರ ಧರ್ಮ ಸಂಕಟ. ಆ ಧರ್ಮ ಸಂಕಟ ನಿವಾರಿಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಆ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಒಪ್ಪಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು, ಒಬ್ಬಳೇ ಮಗಳು, ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಆದರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಳು ಸೌಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರ್ತಾಳೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನಂಬಿಕೆ. One of the best decisions of my life was to return from Delhi to Bangalore to enroll myself as an advocate in the Karnataka Bar Council and to commence my practice here. My father had said that the Bangalore bar would nurture me, just as it had nurtured him in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, till he became a judge on 25th of June, 1970. He came from a small hamlet, Ingalaguppe, and his father gave him 50 rupees. And he said, do what you want in life. And he took that 50 rupees from his father, and he took a train from, those days it used to be called French Rocks, Pandavpura, and came to Bangalore to become an advocate. You will not know that my mother was 12 when she got married, and my father was 18. Luckily, he was one of those rare persons who had completed his law degree, and therefore, after his marriage, he took a decision to study law, leaving behind my mother in my maternal grandfather's place, that is Dodalalli, and he went to study law initially in ILS Pune for 1 year, and thereafter in RL Law College, Belgaum. And after his marriage, he took my mother from the village, and in 1946, they set up their home in Bangalore. Therefore, he said he had been nurtured by the Bangalore bar because he knew nobody in Bangalore when he came from the village, and that kind of confidence he filled me. And hence, during the 2 decades that I practiced as an advocate, I received tremendous affection and support from the members of the bar. For example, Mr. Justice is here, he would say, why don't you come for coffee? Mr. Justice Shailendra Kumar, he would say, come for coffee. Some other senior member would say, come, I'll get you lunch. This is the kind of affection with which I have grown in the Bangalore bar. And thereafter, when I became a judge for the last 13 and a half years, I have received the best of cooperation from all the members of the bar where I presided or as I sat as a single judge, whether it was in Bangalore or in Dharwad or Kalburgi. Therefore, today, if I have to say that I have some success in life, the success must go to every advocate who has appeared before me and who have dealt with the matters before me. I am therefore deeply indebted to the bar in Bangalore, Dharwad and Kalburgi for shaping me and fulfilling me as a judge. ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ 87ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಲಿ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿರೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಸೋದರ ಮಾವ ಎಸ್ ಶಿವರಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದರು. ಅವ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಅವ್ರ 4 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಸೋದರ ಮಾವನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ನಮ್ಮ ಚಿಕ್ಕಪ್ಪನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು, ಚಿಕ್ಕಮ್ಮನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದರು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅದೊಂದೇ ಆವಾಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಒಂದು ಮನೆ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು, ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಸೈಡ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾನು ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೆ. ಆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಅದೃಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ MN ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯನವ್ರನ್ನ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಎಲಿವೇಶನ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಅವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದರು. ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಈ ಥರ ಸರ್ ಲಾ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಎನ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಎನ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ನೀನು ಯಾಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ಯಾ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಾ, ನಾನು ಹೇಗಿದ್ರು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀನು ಇದ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡು ಅಂತಂದರು. ಅದು ಆ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಾನು ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಬರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು 24 ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರು 1987ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿ ಬಲಿಪಾಡ್ಯಮಿ ದಿನ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಆದರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇನೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಸ್ವಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಜಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಕೆಸ್ವಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅದು ಒಂಥರ ಏನಂದರೆ ಅದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಆಟ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಒಬ್ಬರು ಎದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಆ ಥರ. ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕಲ್ ಚೇರ್ ಕೆಸ್ವಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕಲ್ ಚೇರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೀನಿಯರು ಬ್ಯಾರಿಸ್ಟರ್ ವಾಸುದೇವ್ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಶಾಂತರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಜಾಗ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ನೀನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೋ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ಕೋ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಿ. ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಗೇವ್ ಮಿ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ or you say best opportunities to appear before courts, to address not only before learned single judges, but even before Chief Justices. We all know how Chief Justice Jain was in 1987, and they gave me opportunities to appear before them. Therefore, I am indebted to Honorable Justice Venkatachalaya for being a catalyst and convincing my parents to send me to Bangalore so that I could commence my practice here. Thereafter, in the 2 decades, as I told you, several members of the bar have encouraged me. They have put in a good word whenever an argument was good, and that is how, from case to case, from year to year, I progressed as an advocate. Then the time came when, for my elevation as a judge, there was a big question mark as to whether a lady could be elevated. You will know more about it if you ask Mr. Uday Holla, the former Advocate General, because till then there was no lady who had been elevated to the bench of the Karnataka High Court, but Chief Justice Siriak Joseph, Justice Chidanand Ullal, and Justice H.L. Dattu, later who retired as Chief Justice of India, they took a decision, and I must congratulate them for their bold decision, to appoint a lady from the bar as a judge of the court. Therefore, when I became the first lady from the bar, I had a double goal to meet. Firstly, as a lady, I have to succeed, and secondly, as Nagaratna, I have to succeed. And just not Nagaratna, I have to succeed as Venkatramaya's daughter. Because nobody used to call me as Nagaratna. Everybody used to say Venkatramaya's daughter, Venkatramayanor Magalu, Venkatramayanor Magalu. A Venkatramayanor Magalu anta ನಾವು ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪುಣ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿರಬೇಕು ಫಸ್ಟು. ಎರಡನೇದು, ಅವರ ಆ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ನಾವು ರೀಚ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟಪಡಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕಷ್ಟ ನಾ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನಿವತ್ತು ಈ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಲಿ ಬಂದು ನಿಂತಿದ್ದು. My tenure as a judge for 13.5 years has been very good, most satisfying. His Lordship Justice Sharma said that I have disposed of about 42,000 and odd cases. It is not just statistics. Behind each case, behind each file, there is a human being, there is a family, there is a suffering, and therefore I would only take satisfaction that if I have done any good to the litigants during my tenure, then it is all credit must go to whatever I have inherited from the bar. My Lord Chief Justice came on May 10th, 2019 to Karnataka. I was not there on that day as we were away on LTC. Then immediately after I met His Lordship, the first thing he said is, "You are the chairman of the building committee. Take me around the building. I want to see the building of the High Court." That is how His Lordship started working immediately after he took over as the Chief Justice of the High Court of Karnataka. My close association with Chief Justice Oak has enhanced my experience as a judge in many ways, and I am grateful to His Lordship. I must also place on record today the senior judges with whom I sat. Several senior judges I sat with: Justice K.L. Manjunath, Justice N.K. Patil, Justice N. Kumar, Justice Gunjal, and several other judges which I will not mention because already so much of time has been spent. From each senior judge, I have learnt not only law, but how well to dispose of a case in the best and efficient manner. Therefore, today, I thank all the senior judges with whom I sat and the great opportunities that they provided, even with the chief justices with whom I sat. They gave me the most trickiest matters to write judgments and to express myself, and they complimented me, and that has given a boost to me from year to year. I've also sat with several associate judges right from 2018 onwards, where I started presiding, 17 onwards, where I started presiding, first in Kalburgi and thereafter in Dharwad and then in Bangalore. Each of the associate judges with whom I have sat have been so cooperative to me. I have learned so much from them, not only on certain nuances of law, but also on other ideas and interests. I thank each of the judges with whom I have sat, associate judges with whom I have sat over the years. I will be failing in my duty if I do not say how much my family has stood behind me. I have spoken in detail about my husband, Sri B.N. Gopalakrishna, as to how he has been a pillar of strength and support to me through all these years and has tolerated my sparse involvement in domestic matters so that I could devote to my work the time it requires, whether in Bangalore or outside. Our children, Nayantara, who is presently practicing, and Prerna, who is in the creative field, have understood from their very young age the seriousness of my work, and they have quickly adjusted to themselves to my work schedule, whether in the morning, evening, or night. I would take this opportunity to say that behind every successful man, there is a woman, but behind every successful woman, there is a family. Then I would like to only end by the small anecdote, which I thought over the years, it has come true, that the letter in Kannada ka, illa kagunita ka, it has always been very lucky for me. I have been born in Karnataka. I have resided in Kumara Park. My office has been Kesvi and Company. I presided as a senior judge for the first time in Kalburgi. And before that, my permanent appointment came when I was a judge sitting in Kalburgi. And I would like to also share that recently when we went to Kalburgi with Honorable Chief Justice and 4 other senior judges, I was just climbing the steps of the High Court of Karnataka, and I got a message saying that there is a very serious consideration of my case for elevation to Supreme Court. Therefore, the letter kaka, kiki, kuku, whatever you may say, has been very lucky for me, and ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಭೂಮಿ, ಈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜನಿಸಿದ್ದು ನನ್ನ ಭಾಗ್ಯ. ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯಿಂದನೇ ನಾನು ಈ ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಏರಿದ್ದು. ಆದುದರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯ ಜನರು, ಮಹನೀಯರು, ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು, ಅಕ್ಕ ತಂಗಿಯರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕರೆದು ಆಧಾರದ ಸನ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ಫೆಲಿಸಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಚಿರಋಣಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you so much, my lord, for highly appreciating the members of the bar and for those motivating and touching words. Now, may I kindly request Honorable Mr. Justice Abhay Srinivas Oak, Judge, Supreme Court of India, to do the felicitation reply.
The anchor just now said that Justice Abhay Oak, Judge Supreme Court of India. I still feel that my better introduction is Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court. And of course, a judge of Bombay High Court for 15.5 years. My esteemed colleague, Justice B.V. Nagaratna, Judge of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Sri Basavaraj Bommai, Honorable Chief Minister of State of Karnataka, Honorable the Acting Chief Justice of State, Karnataka High Court, Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, my esteemed sister and brother judges who are all present here, Honorable Minister for Housing of the Government of Karnataka, the Learned Advocate General, Sri Prabhuling Nawadgi, Sri A.P. Ranganatha, President of the Advocates Association, Bengaluru, Sri N. Gangadhariya, General Secretary, Advocates Association, Bengaluru, Sri Shivamurthy, Treasurer, Advocates Association, Bengaluru, the Additional Solicitor General of India, the Learned Lokayukta, Additional Advocate Generals, former judges of the Karnataka High Court, senior members of the bar, and I must mention Mr. Hola, who spoke his heart out, and also Sri Ken Puttegowda, another learned senior member of the bar, government advocates, other members of the bar, and ladies and gentlemen. I thank Sri A.P. Ranganatha, the President of the Advocates Association, Bengaluru, and his colleagues for felicitating me. So much has been said about me by all the earlier speakers. I do not deserve all the praise and compliments showered upon me today. I have always said that this honor has come to me not because I deserve it, but by virtue of my seniority as a judge of the Bombay High Court. I don't consider this as my elevation because after all, whichever court I sit, I'll be doing the same job, maybe in slightly different manner. I'm so glad that within 5 days, I'm back in Bengaluru. So many faces which are dear to me, my esteemed sister and brother judges, they always considered me to be part of their family, part of larger family. So many distinguished members of the bar, and more importantly, the government advocates who are present in large numbers. Of course, everybody is wearing masks today, so I can't see pleasure on their faces that they won't be required to appear before me. But I must say this in presence of Honorable Chief Minister, who was also Law Minister for quite some time, that all these government advocates, your Advocate General, Additional Advocate General, they have been very tough. And they could withstand the onslaught coming from the bench to a great extent. Mr. Hola said that I have become Kannadiga. I agree with him. But I disagree with one statement made by Mr. Hola, that public interest litigation is my first love. At this stage, I can't afford to do injustice to my wife, and especially when she is present here. I must say that when time really came to leave Bangalore for the purposes of oath ceremony in Delhi, myself and my wife, we felt really sad to leave this beautiful city of Bengaluru. For all purposes, Bengaluru has become our second home. Though I was a judge of Bombay High Court for 15 years and 8 months, I never shifted out of my city. I continued to commute from my city to Bombay. And therefore, Bangalore became our second home, and it will continue to be our second home. I'll have to find out some excuse or other to come back to Bangalore. Now I'll get a residence in a prominent locality of Delhi. They call it as Lutyens. And I stayed here for two years and about 4 months. I may stay in that place for longer time. But what I will fondly remember, not only me, my wife and my family members, is our place of residence at Palace Road in Bangalore. I will ever remember that place. I came to Bangalore on 8th of May 2019 to take oath as the Chief Justice. I must say that from that very day, my stay in Bangalore was most enjoyable. I got maximum possible cooperation from my esteemed colleagues, the registrars of the High Court, the judicial officers, the members of the bar, and the Bar Association. My cooperation with the members of the Bangalore Bar Association continued right from day one. Mr. Ranganath referred to one of the letters addressed by him to me. I must say that I received several such letters from Mr. Ranganath. But those letters helped me to remain on my toes. And notwithstanding what he said in those letters, I must say that he and his colleagues were extremely cooperative. We used to have long meetings for SOP, in presence of the Bar Council members, then Advocate General, Solicitor General of India. Very important inputs came from the members of the bar and especially the Bar Association. I'll never forget the enthusiastic cooperation by the members of the bar. I have already said what I wanted to say about the bar in Bangalore. In fact, my esteemed brother and friend, Justice Satish Sharma, quoted what I said other day in Court Hall number 1 function. Therefore, I will not repeat here. After I became the Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court, I used to have long meetings with my colleagues, Justice Narayan Swamy, Justice Ravi Malimat, sister, and all the senior judges who are present here. We had planned to take several innovative steps for the judiciary in Karnataka. I must candidly say that only part of it which we could implement, the main reason was pandemic. I want to use this platform to say something about the roadmap for the judiciary in Karnataka. The Honorable Chief Minister who is present here was earlier the Law Minister of the state. Whatever little interaction I had with him, I found that he is very keen on taking all possible steps to make Karnataka judiciary as the best judiciary in the entire nation. And therefore, I am taking benefit of his presence here. All the speakers have said about the systems which are adopted during the pandemic. I must say that the hybrid system of hearing adopted by the Karnataka High Court and its benches can be said to be far better than video conference hearing systems adopted by all other courts. Of course, it will be too early for me to say this. I have sat as a judge of the Supreme Court only for 3 days. But every day I sat in the court, I found that our system in Karnataka was better, video conferencing system. I had directed on the judicial side to the state government to prepare a vision statement containing a plan for state of preparedness for third wave of COVID. Whether third wave comes or not, we have to be equipped to deal with possible third wave. We have experience of dealing with first wave and second wave. And now, therefore, today is the time when we should provide such infrastructure to the courts and especially our trial and district courts that even if third wave comes, and even if third wave is worse than the second wave, we should ensure that our courts do not remain closed. And therefore, the first initiative we'll have to take is the same hybrid system which is there in the High Court must be provided to all courts, whether at district level or taluk level. It is also necessary to strengthen our network of e-Seva Kendras. Of course, that is the plan. At several places we have opened e-Seva Kendra. But ideally, there should be e-Seva Kendra in every court complex, whether at district level, taluk level. And each e-Seva Kendra should have, apart from usual facilities like printer, internet, computer, at least 3 or 4 cabins from where the lawyers can attend virtual hearing. We need to train members of the bar, the judges, for recording evidence through video conferencing. Our video conferencing rules are here for almost last 2 years, but we have not effectively used the same. I am saying this in presence of the Honorable Chief Minister that if we are able to provide the same kind of hybrid system which is provided in the High Court to each court in Karnataka, our state will be the best in terms of judicial infrastructure. And Honorable Chief Minister is right when he said that we have provided better infrastructure to the judiciary. Yes, indeed, it is better infrastructure as compared to many other states. Whether we like it or not, the pandemic has taken toll of the judicial system. In High Court, as Brother Justice Satish Sharma said, we are able to maintain the disposal. But in our district and trial courts, we could not do so because for a considerable period of time, there was prohibition on entry of witnesses in the court. Before I admitted the office, I issued a fresh program for disposal of 5 years and 10 years old cases. The direction contains holding of so many special drives of cases of senior citizens, cases under Domestic Violence Act. Now the members of the bar and the judges must come together. They should put their heads together and ensure that the guidelines which are laid down for disposal of old cases are strictly adhered to. I have said this on public platform that ultimately our aim was to create arrears-free courts in Karnataka by the end of the year 2021. When I say arrears-free, I mean that no court will have a 5-year-old case. Of course, due to pandemic, we will not be able to meet that target. But I hope and trust that at least by 30th of June 2022, we should be able to meet that target. It is a great deal of importance for the members of the bar to go out of the way to cooperate with our trial and district court judges. Because during this period, the worst sufferer is the common man who has come to the court with the great hope that he will get justice. Large number of litigants do not have those so-called high-stake cases. They come to the court for a simple relief like maintenance or a small share in a small agricultural land and so many things. Now this class of litigants for which really the judiciary exists has suffered the most in pandemic. And therefore now, whether we are part of any court, any system, now our first priority should be to give justice to this class of litigants which is waiting for justice for a long time. Now several things are required to be done. I'll give only a few illustrations. About 3 years back, the government has given us 21 family courts in Bangalore. But we don't have adequate space. Therefore, we are able to set up only 7 family courts. Whether one likes it or not, due to social situation, due to various factors, there is a huge filing in family court in Bangalore. There is a need to have a very ultra-modern family court complex in the city of Bangalore. I have always said that Saket in Delhi has perhaps the best court complex. We need to plan our family court on the lines of Saket Court. Even city of Pune has one of the most modern family courts. The state of Karnataka has a distinction of establishing first ever dedicated commercial court. And I am glad to say this, that even during the period of pandemic, the government officers work hard and we could establish a dedicated commercial court with 10 courts in BSNL building. Now, the next step is we should have a better complex for housing our commercial courts, a very modern concept. And we should ideally have sub-centers of arbitration and mediation centers attached to the commercial court complex as well as the family court complex. We need more space for our city civil court and district court for Bangalore Rural District. Mr. Ranganath has already referred to that we need more space, and we have suggested the space which is available. We need to look after our administrative tribunals. The Karnataka State Administrative Tribunal, established under the Administrative Tribunals Act 1985, lacks proper infrastructure. So many cases of government servants are going before the tribunal, but unfortunately it does not have adequate infrastructure. We have established a virtual traffic court in the city. We need to improve the functioning of the virtual traffic court. We have perhaps not reached the citizens and told them how convenient is this virtual traffic court. We need to have that experiment replicated in many other bigger cities of the state. There is one more area which is of grave concern for me, not only to me, but all my colleagues who are present here. Even during this pandemic, we repeatedly conducted processes for appointment of civil judges and district judges. Unfortunately, even 50% of the posts could not be filled in this process. I personally feel that there is a lot of talent in the members of the bar in our taluk and district courts. But perhaps we are not able to convince the younger members of the bar about the importance of taking up career in judiciary. The Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa took initiative, and in fact I helped them to publish a book giving all the details to the young law students and to the young members of the bar what career in judiciary means. I have shared that book with our registrar recruitment. Now perhaps the bar associations, the bar councils will have to come together and they will have to go to the law colleges and impress upon the students that career in judiciary is one of the best options which is available. Perhaps our senior judges need to go to our law colleges and appeal to the final year law students to think of judiciary as a career. If we want to have best judiciary in the country, we need to encourage young members of the bar to opt for this option. And that is one area where not only the judges, but also the members of the bar will have to work hard. I hope and trust that when senior members of the bar are present here, the Advocate General is here, the Additional Solicitor General of India is here, the Acting Chief Justice is here, and most importantly, the Chief Minister is here. Everything will be done to achieve our final object of making the judiciary in Karnataka as the best judiciary in the entire country. I thank everyone who is associated with judiciary in Karnataka for not only great cooperation, but active participation in every process. I have already said that my tenure here in Karnataka was the most significant period of my long career as a judge spanning over 18 years. And I want to emphasize that again, that this period of 2 years and 9 months, 2 years and 3 months was the best period out of my judicial career. I accept the felicitation with all the humility at my command, and I can assure every person who is present here that with my limited ability, I will try to do the best. for coming 3.5 years. I again thank everyone for coming here and for felicitating me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lord, for your concern towards the members of the bar that even during the pandemic, the courts never stopped functioning. Thank you for those inspiring words, my lord. Now, I request Sri Shivamurthy, Treasurer, Advocates Association, Bangalore, to do the vote of thanks.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ಮುಖ್ಯ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ ಮತ್ತು ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ BV ನಾಗರತ್ನರವರು ಪದೋನ್ನತಿ ಹೊಂದಿ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದಂತಹ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂತಸ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಭಿನಂದನಾ ಸಮಾರಂಭವನ್ನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಕೀಲರ ಸಂಘದ ಆಹ್ವಾನವನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಿ ಸಂಘದಿಂದ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಯನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಿದಂತಹ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಅಭಯ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಓಕ್ರವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇನ್ನೋರ್ವ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದಂತಹ ನಮ್ಮವರೇ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರಾದಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ BV ನಾಗರತ್ನರವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷದ ಸಮಾರಂಭಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದಂತಹ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನಪ್ರಿಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಬಸವರಾಜ ಬೊಮ್ಮಾಯಿರವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಆನರಬಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಚೀಫ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಶ್ರೀ ಸತೀಶ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಶರ್ಮಾ for having accepted our invite to grace and participated as a chief justice in this felicitation function. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಆದಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಪ್ರಭುಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೆ ನಾವಡ್ಗಿರವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ AP ರಂಗನಾಥ್ರವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಪ್ರಧಾನ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಗಂಗಾಧರಯ್ಯನವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಸಹ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂಘದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳ ಕುಟುಂಬ ವರ್ಗದವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿವೃತ್ತ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಲೋಕಾಯುಕ್ತರಾದಂಥ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಮಾಜಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ KN ಪುಟ್ಟೇಗೌಡರವರಿಗೂ, ಶಿವರಾಮ್ರವರಿಗೂ, ಮಾಜಿ ಪ್ರಧಾನ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಗಳಾದಂಥ ರಾಜಣ್ಣವರಿಗೂ, ಪುಟ್ಟೇಗೌಡರಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಖಜಾಂಚಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಹಿರಿಯ ವಕೀಲರಾದಂಥ ಉದಯ್ ವಳ್ರವರಿಗೂ, ವಿವೇಕ್ ರೆಡ್ಡಿಯವರಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ AS ಪೊನ್ನಣ್ಣವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ವಸತಿ ಸಚಿವರಾದಂಥ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಸೋಮಣ್ಣವರವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಘದ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಭಾಗದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಿ ಸಮಿತಿ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಹಾಗೂ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಯಶಸ್ವಿಗೊಳಿಸಿದಂತಹ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಘದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ವಕೀಲ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೂ ಸಹ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
Now, may I kindly request everyone to stand up for the national anthem by the police band. May I request everyone to kindly join for high tea.
I request dignitaries to, we have the photographs with the governing council members. All the governing council members, kindly governing council members.